we're really focused on is thinking long term.
How did Jeff Bezos get so rich? The details are unknown.
How do you deal with the pressure of, say, Wall Street, or you have a dot-com crash? I've never seen you panic.
First time in 3 years, Jeff Bezos is once again the world's richest person.
You spent a lot of your childhood with your grandfather.
I had what I consider to be an idyllic childhood. I mean, I had two parents who loved me incredibly. In fact, I spent all my summers on my grandfather's ranch and spent 3 months every year from the age of 4 to age of 16 working on the ranch with my grandfather, which was just an incredible experience.
My grandfather had a huge influence on me, huge factor in my life. After my grandmother died, I was about 12, and I kept coming to the ranch. So it was just him and me, just the two of us. And he was completely addicted to the soap opera
Days of Our Lives, a new dramatic serial starring MacDonald Perry.
That's what love does to a goon. You don't leave any room for doubt in your mind.
I read that you fell in love with the idea of space and space exploration when you were 5, watching Neil Armstrong walking on the moon.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
And then I wanted to be an astronaut. And then later, by the time I was in my high school years, I wanted to be a physicist. I went to Princeton primarily because I wanted to study physics. And things went fairly well until I got to quantum mechanics, and it was so hard for me. And I just remember there was a point in this where I realized I'm never going to be a great physicist.
And there were a few people in my classes, like in quantum mechanics and so on, who they could effortlessly do things that were so difficult for me. And I realized there are 1,000 ways to be smart.
At the same time, I had been studying computer science and was really finding that was something where I was drawn to that more and more. And that turned out to be a great thing. So I found one of the great things Princeton taught me is that I'm not smart enough to be a physicist. Business and the way the world works, one of the things that it's very hard to believe when you're 22 or 23 years old is that you don't already know everything. I toyed with the idea of starting a company and even talked to a couple of friends about starting a company, and ultimately decided that it would be smarter to wait and learn a little bit more. And I went to work for a startup company, one in New York City, that was building a network for helping brokerage firms clear trades. It used my technical skills, and it was very fun work, and I loved the people I was working with. From then on, I started working sort of at the intersection of computers and finance, and stayed on Wall Street for a long time. Ultimately worked for a company that did this thing called quantitative hedge fund trading. What we did is we programmed the computers, and then the computers made stock trades. And that was very interesting too. And that was where I was working when I came across the fact that the web was growing at 2,300% a year, and that's what led to the forming of Amazon.com. This is the first office of Amazon.com Inc.
So, what was it like? What was going through your mind at that time? You left a good job in New York and took this leap. Were you excited? Were you scared?
So excited and scared, anxious, thought the odds of success were low. Told all of our early investors that I thought there was a 30% chance of success, because that's the truth. Every startup company is unlikely to work. It's helpful to be in reality about that, but that doesn't mean you can't be optimistic.
You don't want a single day of comfort. You've written about this.
We humans are not really truth-seeking animals. Truths are often, they don't want to be heard, because important truths can be uncomfortable, they can be awkward. Any high-performing organization has to have mechanisms and a culture that supports truth-telling.